Welcome to my presentation on the domain name system. The domain name system is clinical to the internet browsing, and without it, communications locally and globally will break down. In this presentation, I'll be covering what is a domain name system and its size, the main components of the system, the legislation in the UK on the system, the legislation on the domain name system, the limitations, and the conclusion. What is a domain name system? The domain name system, DNS, is the way the internet names are located and translated into the internet protocol addresses. A domain name is meaningful and easy to remember handle for internet addresses. DNS implements a distributed database to store this name and address information for all public hosts on the internet. Size. Mail servers, internet host names, generic servers and IP addresses are all sorted into one database that collects information for every name. This is known as a resource record, RR. Within the RR there are many different types of databases, all set in hierarchical structure, each having different fields of criteria. With this in mind, for each domain name, the database size is unimaginably long. The database size is unlimited and its performance isn't affected by adding more names, therefore it will continue to increase. On the PowerPoint presentation that I've created, it shows a total of 113,000 new domain names added in just one day to .com and .org sites. DNS cache. One thing that the DNS is able to do is caching records on the internet servers and clients' computers. Therefore, these cache records of domain names for a server can remain synchronized with IP addresses as new links are added. The time taken to do this operation is called time to live, TTL, which is set by the administrator of the DNS server. The operation is crucial as it reduces the load of an individual DNS server. The DNS resolver. The resolver is responsible for taking the client's input and translating the domain name to IP addresses. Although its role is very basic, its job is at the heart of the DNS, and without it, it would struggle to find anything because we could only filter by IP addresses. With each resolver, caches are stored in future searches. The DNS structure / the domain name space. The DNS uses a hierarchical structure called TLD, top level domain. This structure is free formation and domain name branches out into resource records of each domain name. The tree is divided up into zones, starting with root zone. A DNS zone could contain one or multiple domain names, thus starting at the root and branching out along the tree to the source of what you're trying to locate, consequently started by the DNS resolver and stored by the cache recording. Legislation in the UK. There are many legislation reforms set up in the UK. The main reason legislation is set up in the domain name system is down to many arguments over trademarks. Therefore, the UDRP was set up, the Unnamed Domain Resolution Policy. This policy outlines the guidelines to disputes other domain names, which often ends up organisations going to court. There have been attempts to implement security extensions. DNS security extensions, DNSSEC, is proposal standard for securely authenticating information on the domain name system. The DNSSEC validators check the digital signatures on the DNS data. This was written by Walter and Benno in 2009. However, the operational cost to put this in practice is more than what it's worth. Limitations on the domain name system. I believe there is a limit to a domain name system, as it's increased restrictions on the end users. As stated by Thompson in 1997, the domain name system was originally designed to support queries of statically configured database. While the data is expected to change, the frequency of those changes was expected to be fairly low. However, it is obviously clear that this is not the case, as once thought, as networks increase vigorously. Whether it's not being able to choose a unique name because most have already been taken, or being forced to give up their chosen name due to legal action. At the end of the day, more and more people will look for the other alternatives naming system, making the technology old and unsustainable, as people will go elsewhere, changing from IP4 to IP6 addresses. It is a major limitation, as they will be on a different domain name system, and some people will not be able to able to access it because of their ISP. As well as this, there is also a security threat, as people try to claim they are an organisation which they're clearly not, and make profit from selling goods which they don't hold the name for. To conclude, it's clear from everything taken into consideration, our lives would be disrupted dramatically with the domain name system. societies and communications would come to an end, and for basic or for advanced users, as simple information cannot be sent or received. I believe for now the DNS system is ideal, and there really isn't any better alternative. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and my references would be at the end of my PowerPoint presentation.